Alright guys, another little quick cyclist video. We're going to come up to the end of the road soon. You can probably just about see the cyclist there. Here we go, right. Not the widest of roads, as you can see. This is in Kingsbury, and anyway, cyclist is coming up to a traffic light junction at the end, and the student gets a little tempted to overtake, but you know, assesses the situation and then decides not to. But have a look. So we're coming up and 20-mile-an-hour zone, so you can't really go too fast. Now, another thing to factor in, which you might not be able to see on the video, is the road is going downhill. So something to think about then is that the cyclist often will then pick up speed as well. So even if it is clear and you're tempted to overtake, you're going to have to factor in that they will also be going a little bit quicker than you might anticipate. So keep that in mind. Cyclists is generally quite well positioned at the moment. At the moment they are fully entitled to be in the middle of the lane as well, from the update from 2022, and then now if I zoom in a little bit here, so here, this is where the traffic light junction is here. It's not the biggest distance, plus there's humps on the ground, and if you can just see that there is no one coming, so there is the possibility to take a wide berth and go around. But you're so close to a junction, you should not even think about overtaking anyone, let alone the cyclist at this point. So as I carry on going, cyclist is, bear with me. Okay, so yeah, so as we get closer now, cyclist coming up to the junction, and the student stays back, almost tempted to go, but decides not to, and then the cyclist starts to pick up a little bit of speed. We're going through the junction, our light changes, they're gone through, and then we're going to catch up to the cyclist later on, and I'll forward up to that part in the video, so just bear with me. So now we are relatively, you can see the cyclist is up there, so if I play the video now, and we're going to come up to another junction. Okay, so as we're getting a little bit further ahead, 2 lanes here, we want to go straight ahead, which will be on the left hand side, and the cyclist is also there. And then notice also there is a traffic light junction coming up. So as we get closer here, some cars in traffic, and then we're holding back, and look at the distance. Now the distance is also important, following distance. Cyclist is slowing down a little bit, they're pedaling hard, but it's starting to go uphill, which you can't tell from the video. Sometimes even distances are hard to tell from the videos, but cyclist is positioned really well on the side. Now if you have a look, students already planning their overtake. They've seen a nice gap here, double lanes. The lane that was here already was turning right at this junction at the traffic light, so they're safe to go over, and they're going to give the cyclist a nice wide gap, nice wide berth. So have a look, and it's covered up by that little block thing here, but you can see there's a big gap there. We're fully in this second lane, giving the cyclist more than enough space, and then we're coming back over. And that's how you've got to make sure you give cyclists and any vulnerable vehicles space like that. Okay, and hope you guys can learn from that one. Alright guys, we are up, I think this is towards Boreham Wood sort of sides. Okay, sort of typical sort of road layout, not the widest. You're looking at about fitting a car there, plus a little bit of a gap in between, so roughly about a 2.5 meters sort of width here. And then you've got the cyclist, which you can see up here. Okay, now the new rule from 2022 is being that 1.5 meters must be kept away from the cyclist. So you're looking at your edge of your car pretty much being near the line, okay, this side here at least, and that means you're going pretty much into that lane quite a lot. Okay, so as you approach, you got to bear in mind you need to see what is coming far ahead. So the student here is going to make an error where they're going to continue while cars are coming, and that's a problem as well, obviously. So I'm going to pause it in a second. So here, students starting to come out wide. They need to be a little bit wider. Now the examiners haven't failed them on the distance given from the cyclist. The problem was the student affects that car that's coming there, and that car will have to stop. Okay, now from what I can see here, you need to give a little bit more space. Okay, so you can see that the video is showing that our car is quite a lot inside this lane, so they're going to be leaving less than 1.5 meters clearly when they start overtaking in a minute. So if I play a little bit more, and you can see they haven't improved in much in their distance. The middle of the camera is pretty much in the center here with the line, so we needed to be a lot more away. Now the examiner hasn't highlighted that, but what they have highlighted is the fact that there is a vehicle coming along here. So two things to bear in mind: that you need to give much more gap from the cyclist. Okay, the cyclist has done well, they're staying quite relatively close to the curb. I'm a cyclist as well, so I know that you've got to say, you know, just ride sensibly. You can't ride too close to the curbs because you'll be riding gutters and everything, and it's more dangerous. And so they've got a nice gap there. The new rule also states that they can comfortably stay in the middle of the lane, but this cyclist is, you know, it's been nice, is staying, you know, relatively close to the curb anyway. So the car coming is an issue, and there's also a bend. Okay, never ever overtake unless you can really see far ahead. Okay, so if I zoom out a little bit, you can see where the cyclist is, you can see the car coming. I'm going to play the clip now. I've gone past the cyclist, and that car there has had to stop, okay, as well. So two things to think about: the distance and the width that you've got to go across. Okay, that's really, really important. And then dealing with okay, there you go. I've just replayed the clip again, so now we're going to see it in just full sort of real time. Going past the cyclist, car ahead stops, and I would say they would have needed a lot more distance. Then we're going to see it again. I can't see around the corner. I would not have done that, and they have failed the driving test for that reason. So yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah, keep that in mind. Hope that helps you guys understand the clip a little bit better and the distance you really need to keep. Okay, you need to keep a wider gap from the cyclist, and you really need to see far ahead. So there's a lot of things that you've got to factor in before you know, rushing to overtake, and it's really, really important. So keep that in mind, and hope that helps you guys. Alright guys, another little clip. This is to do with overtaking anything really which is moving while approaching a pedestrian crossing, but in this case it happens to be a cyclist, so that's the theme of the video today. So we're going to come up, this is up in Hendon. I'm going to get a bit closer. You can start to see the cyclist just about there, okay, and if you really got keen eyes, you can see the Belisha beacons up there. That's how far you got to start looking. Okay, so those things, that's your heads up for the pedestrian crossing. So we're coming up to it. You can start to see it a little bit clearer now. Now it pans out. Here we go. So you've got zigzag markings on the ground. You've got a pedestrian here as well waiting to cross, and the student's oblivious to that. His mind is literally just on the cyclist and trying to go past them. And it is illegal to park your vehicle on a zigzag line, to do any sort of maneuver, turning the car around to face the other direction, anything like that, and also to overtake anything that's moving on a zigzag or pedestrian crossing. And cyclist is there, and student does well in terms of giving them a decent gap, so they've gone wide. So if I zoom out a little bit here, so they've gone wide enough, okay, leaving a decent gap, and there are no oncoming cars at the moment, so they've planned ahead with that. And then also keep in mind that there is a car there, and if that car edges a little bit, the cyclist will also have to come out a little bit as well. So you really do have to make sure you're not really overtaking, apart from the zigzag stuff, don't get me wrong, but apart from that, not near junctions. So be careful of that. So yeah, so if I play the video, students going past while the cyclist is on the pedestrian crossing, and that was it, and that's illegal. So very, very important, keep that in mind. So if I play the clip now, just in normal sort of mode, have a look, and they're going to come up to the pedestrian section. So the video quality is not the best, I'm just sort of videoing it off another video. So there you go, zebra crossing, zigzag lines, pedestrian also waiting, and ticking all the boxes which are illegal. So yeah, that was not the best. Okay, so just make sure you guys are aware of these rules, very, very important. Also think about where you guys are thinking of overtaking. No blind bends, no junctions, no pedestrian crossings, and keep distances from cyclists. Remember the new rule, it's 1.5 meters away from a cyclist. So student seems to do well enough here, pretty decent gap at the moment from what I can see, and then that's it. Okay, so I hope you guys learn from that. Alright guys, here's another cycling clip. We've got the cyclist here at the junction, and we're going to be following the cyclist shortly, and then you'll see that the student is very patient, and they want to overtake soon, but there are no opportunities that are going to arise, and then eventually the cyclist will leave, and so you really do have to be patient when you're following cyclists. So cyclists staying very close to the curb, so not sort of in anyone's way, and you can see all the cars lined up, so there are no chances to overtake giving a 1.5 meter gap, okay, which will basically push you out completely into that lane. So they are going further and further ahead, and then you're going to start to see an opportunity potentially start to arise, okay? So you'll start to see this vehicle now coming into this lane. There are two lanes here, if it's not clear in the video, but this car is now coming into this lane, so there is no chance now to try and overtake. If that car was in that lane there, then yes, we would have an opportunity to potentially overtake. However, if you can see a little bit further in the distance, if I get closer, there is an island. It's like a yellow island there, and so you're gonna have to plan and look for those as well. So you're gonna have to think about where and when you're gonna overtake. Okay, so have a look. No spaces at the moment. So now obviously no car in front of us here because there's nothing there now, but you've got the island, so you should never ever try and overtake near an island, because you're just going to squeeze the cyclist out completely. There is no way you're going to leave a gap or which is wide enough or suitable. So the student stays back, and if I zoom back out, you can see that leaving a decent gap. I'd probably prefer a little bit more, but yeah, it's a good gap at the moment. Cyclist goes past there. Now again, we have a scenario here, and I'm going to pause it a second. So you've got the cyclist, potential opportunity to overtake, but look at that car there, okay? Never ever overtake near a junction. It's just too risky, okay? Especially at this stage of your learning, if you're just beginners. But even as an experienced driver, doing that is a risk, okay? Now as an experienced driver, what would possibly happen is they might come out quickly out here, then that car will possibly see yourself coming out and hold back. However, if they don't, it's going to be a big mess here, so I would avoid looking and trying to overtake at any junction, so be careful there. Okay, so we're going to just carry on, and you can see the car now comes out, so it's a good job you're not overtaking, and the cyclist now goes in, and you're free to carry on. So that is how you got to deal with it. Very, very important. Keep that in mind. And then we just get overtaken there, but what can you do? But that's really important. Patience is the key in those scenarios.